Well, good morning, and excited to get going about this week. And got off to a good start today, and it's always good being with the guys, and always a big week when you get to play this game, and looking forward to a great week of preparation.
Paul, obviously you guys have been nicked up at tight end a little bit with Rucci and Cundiff out, but it looks like Bordolini has given you something in the run game. Why do you like him in that spot? And it looked like he was involved in some big plays Saturday. What did he give you Saturday?
Yeah, I think what Borg gives us is a good player, and a guy that, as a guy that we want to get on the field when we can, and in certain situations or personnel groupings, gives us a chance to use him, and he's been doing a good job with it.
Paul, what do you think it says about this team that they have that 1-3 start, but then they put that stuff aside and did what they do to put these wins together and get themselves into this position?
Yeah, I mean, I think it speaks, highly of their character and also, their abilities, right? But I think just, in my opinion, they haven't wavered from who they are and how they go about, their each day, and it's driven by, how can they be the best player? How can they contribute to this team? What can they do to help this team? And also just how do I continue to work to get better? And I think that's what's given us this chance, and they've been awesome to be around. We've had great leadership, and above all else, we've had great action on it. One thing is to lead and to say it, but another thing to do it and do it consistently. And so many guys have done that, and like a lot of things we've talked about, that can be contagious. And I think that's what I appreciate from this group.
Just wondering, the Big Ten, I believe, is the only Power 5 league that hasn't made a coaching change during this season already. I'm just wondering, do you get the sense this league's a little more patient than others in terms of coaches? And from a coach's perspective, just what's your reaction when you see the relative lack of movement here and what's going on at all these other conferences?
Yeah, I don't, certainly aware of it. Right now in season, I don't put a lot of, you just focus on your world and what you've got to do. I think there's certainly, it's happening more and more, right? And I think every one of us coaches is aware of that and knows it. But I think the biggest thing you got to do is you just got to focus in on doing your job. And for me, that takes up all my time and energy.
Where would you say Matt Henningson's intelligence shows up on the field, and what are some of the things that have stood out to you about what he's been able to do off the field as well?
Yeah, I think when you ask, where does Henny's intelligence show up on the field, it's I don't know that it necessarily equates to what he's doing off field, but I think who he is shows up in everything that he does. A guy that he puts in all the work. That he will not cut a corner. He'll do the extra. He's driven by, he's ultra, I think, competitive. He's driven by, he's a tremendous teammate. I think he's driven by how can he help this team and how can he help others. I think what he's done on and off the field is impressive as heck. It's you talk about truly, a student athlete, a scholar athlete, and doing it at the highest level. A lot of people talk about that. A lot of people shoot to do that, but he is, in my opinion, he's accomplishing that. And, he's relentless in his pursuit of, everything that he does. You know what I mean? Like he no one's going to outwork him on the field, in the weight room, in the preparation, and certainly what he's accomplishing. Has already accomplished undergraduate and accomplishing with his graduate studies. He's unique.
Paul, you've talked many times about that these players are committed to getting better day by day, the resilience in that. But after the loss to Michigan, did you feel the need to say anything in the locker room that day or maybe the next day of how much season was left, et cetera? Or did you just trust them that you knew what kind of players you had and that they would be okay, they would just keep grinding?
I think you're always communicating, and you were. I think part of them, if you really believe it, it has to be something that your message is consistent and not as reactionary to an event, and so it wasn't like we had to change necessarily the narrative. Did I trust him? Absolutely. Did we have to? And it's the same way when we won some games. Other things that we've got to clean up, right? You can't keep doing. You got to do better. There was things when we didn't win that you want to build upon, and so there's no doubt that I trusted him. There wasn't a let's close the doors and we've got to have this all up meeting. It's we've got to just keep going, and we know what we got to do, and trust who we are and trust each other, and we know where we're coming from, and how do we help each other to continue to get better.
Yeah, what stands out to you about Minnesota on offense? Do you feel like they have a pretty balanced attack?
Yeah, very much. I mean, they've got an identity, and they're good at what they do. They, obviously it's, feel like we've played against quarterback a number of times, and he's a really good football player, and I think they do a good job. They've got good players. They're physical. They play hard. They got guys that can make plays, skilled players that can make plays, and I think they're a really good offense. I think they're a really good football team.
Speaking about Minnesota, what does the rivalry mean to you and your team, especially that it's coming down to the last week of the regular season?
Yeah, I think that the game has always meant a lot to. I know the times I've been fortunate enough to be a part of it. And I know every one of our guys, you get a chance to play in this game. It's, the longest rivalry in college football, and to be a part of that is special. And certainly we know it's against a very good football team. It's always good, and you look forward to, and it's a challenge, but it's a great opportunity to play against a good football team. And so this game's always meant a lot.
Well, Jake Ferguson's been a consistent part of your offense for a long time now, but is there anything that you see him doing this year that maybe he wasn't able to do in the past, or something he's improved on?
I do think he's improved. I think he's improved in really all aspects of his game. And I also, really appreciated the leadership that he is, he's kind of taken, and the way he comes out every day, and the work that he puts in, the energy that he gives, and loves playing the game, and that's contagious. Loves, practicing, and just he's been really good for so many, and I think that, to his credit, I think he looked at every part of his game, and how can I be better, and I think he's done that. He's been a blast to be around this year, and I enjoyed being around him previously, but this year, I think he's playing his best football.
And he said after the game that he talked to you last week, saying that he get him the ball and he wants to go make some plays, and he said, "I say that every week."
Yeah, I was just thinking that. That's the same talk we always have.
Is that something you're going to miss about him when his time here is done?
Oh yeah, there's a ton. I love being around him, and Yeah, yeah, that is. It's not every week; it's every day. But he means it, and yet he will do anything for this team. But absolutely, truly enjoy being around him.
One of the ways you guys have tried to get him the ball is in the screen game, and you had the one big hit against Nebraska. Have you guys gotten better at using that screen this year as the season's gone on? I know it's been sprinkled in at times. I'm just curious where you think that part of your game is offensively.
Yeah, I mean, when they work, they're good, and when they don't, you're like, why do we call that? You know, it's no different than any play, really. You know what I mean? If guys do their part and execute, you've got a chance. And certainly, we had it was good. You know, that one play you're talking about was a big play for us, but I think it's you try to do all that you can, and when everyone does their part, and I thought guys did, they made it work, and that was good.
Paul, your linebackers have gotten a lot of attention this year, particularly Jack and Leo and Nick as well. But what about Noah Burks? What has he provided for the team this year? As a senior, who decided to come back for another year.
Yeah, I think Noah's played really good football from the first game on, and I always think it's. I give credit to guys, particularly seniors, when you can say, and I think this is accurate about Noah, that he's playing his best football. And, I think he's playing with confidence and, the way he approaches each day, he comes and he works. He's, consistent in that. He's consistent in his approach, and he's been consistent in his play. But it's I think he's been enjoying it too. He's out there and he's having fun playing, and I think he's been really good. And I thought he started out the season really well, and I think he's continuing to put the time and effort and work in to continue to try to build on what he started with, and I think he's been doing that.
Paul, the Big Ten West sometimes gets a bad rap, but if you look at metrics, it's essentially on par with the East and comparable to a lot of other divisions around the country. Did it feel more difficult this season? I know that's...
Yeah, they always...
Right, I knew you were going to say that, but...
Yeah. Consistency, we value it. But, it does feel like it's, I think you got really good players and well-coached, and every week it seems like it's a challenge. And it's not like you're trying to give yourself the talk before a game, like, hey, we got to build this one up. Like when you watch it and you go play, and maybe that's personality, but I've never looked at a film of an opponent and said, all right, this is a good week. You're like, all right, we got a challenge here. And but certainly do feel that this year as well.